In this lesson, we'll build the grip of the sword. So we have the guard, we have the blade. Let's build the grip. Now you can see that there are a lot of different pieces here, or at least a few. We've got these bony pieces on the side here, and then this red piece underneath. We're actually going to add those in ZBrush separately. And so the only thing that we're going to build here as a base is this long piece. And you can see we have this claw on the end of it, or tooth. And so we can actually build that into the handle. And so the handle is really just a cylinder. And so I think it's a good idea to go ahead and just start with a cylinder. And we'll go ahead and kind of bring it down here. And let's take a look at our object properties here. So we can go ahead and change the radius. Let's take the rotation segments down, and let's set those to 6 or 8, maybe something like that. We can also use the handles to form this a little bit more. Okay, now obviously it needs to be a bit taller, so go ahead and increase the height of it. And we need some segments along the height so that we can change the shape of it. So we want just kind of the rough shape. Obviously we're going to be doing a lot of the sculpting, all of the sculpting in ZBrush, so we just want to get kind of a rough shape there. So let's add maybe 8 height segments, and we'll go ahead and make this object editable. And see, that's what it sort of looks like there. All right, and so now we can start to form this to our image here. And so I'm going to go ahead and drag across these. I'm going to kind of scale these down and move them up and just rotate them. Okay, and then we'll do the same thing down here and kind of rotate this around. Let's shrink it down a little bit and move it, and we'll just start to form the handle here. Okay, you might want to leave it a little bit larger than what you see, but you can always make that inflate that out. And so I'll just kind of match this up in here. You can see we've got a little bit more room over on that inside there, so might want to shrink it down a little. Same thing over here. Let's go ahead and rotate this down and scale that row down. And we'll do the same thing here. And as it comes in here, we can maybe not rotate it quite so much there. Move it over. Oops. And then down here, we definitely need a division where that sort of claw is. And so we'll go ahead and add a line right in there. And then here, these are going to be a bit bigger because we have this sort of larger shape here. And then these, let's go ahead and bring this all the way down. Again, we don't have to match it up exactly, but one thing that I want to have is I definitely do want at least one more line in there, kind of right in there, which we can then select and use it to modify the shape. And let's kind of rotate this a little and scale it down. And if you want to add more points in there, you can do that. But I'm going to go ahead and leave that as is. Now looking at this, it's a little bit, maybe a little bit wide. It's right at the edge of that guard. And so I'm going to take the whole thing. We'll just go to our Use Model tool, and I'm just going to kind of scale it down in the X so that it's a little bit narrower than it is from front to back. Okay, so we get something like that. Okay, now here in 12, we can go to our coordinates and we can freeze our transformations here as well. Now we can start to name these things. So we've got cylinder, cube, polygon. That doesn't mean much to us. So we can start to just call this grip. We'll call this guard, and we'll call this blade. All right. So just make sure going in to your artwork and match up the shapes that you have here, keeping in mind that some of these shapes will be adding and sculpting in a little bit, sculpting in ZBrush rather than here in Cinema 4D. Now one thing that I do want to handle, or rather do on the handle, is at the top here we have these cap polygons. We actually don't need those, so I'm going to just select those polygons, and let's go ahead and just delete those on the grip, okay, because we don't need those. And now we have the rest of our geometry here. So what we want to do in the next lesson is take the geometry that we have built here, and it's fairly simple. There's only 3 pieces at this point, and we want to take this into ZBrush to be able to start sculpting and working on. So we'll go ahead and look at that process in the next lesson.